2026 is set to be a massive year overall because we've got a number of high-profile Nintendo and JRPG anniversaries that I really want to talk about, considering a lot of these games I've been playing since near the beginning when they started. This should be a special year overall. Now, one thing before we get into this video, guys, sometimes anniversaries actually end up on a whimper. There's just not games ready, or they just don't have something planned that would be as elaborate as you would want. So I don't want this video to be, okay, every single game on this list is going to get some massive genre-defining game in the franchise that's going to absolutely revolutionize everything. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do want to go over the anniversaries in addition to what I think could happen overall, considering what we've gotten before in the past. So let's go ahead and start from the bottom to the top, and we're going to start off with Pikmin. Pikmin is 25 years old at this point. There's been some murmurings and there's been some listings of Pikmin 3 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch 2, so maybe we get a Switch 2 edition of that. Maybe we get some updates or further updates for Pikmin 4. Maybe they do some more type of collections for it, or maybe they have some type of side game. I'm not sure if they're going to have Pikmin 5 already ready, but they did do that Pikmin animated short last year, so I'm guessing they're going to have some more stuff like that for the Pikmin 25th anniversary coming up here. Next franchise up is Luigi's Mansion at 25 years. Now, this one is very interesting because I do not think the next Luigi's Mansion is quite ready yet, but I think that they've been working on it for a while now. Nintendo did buy out Next Level Games. Those are the developers who make Luigi's Mansion, or at least made the last number of high-selling Luigi's Mansion games. So I do think that they are hard at work on the next one. Now, that will be on the Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to happen, guys. Luigi's Mansion 3 sold a ton. I think it sold over 15 million units plus. It's one of Nintendo Switch 1's better-selling titles out there, and much better selling title than anybody would have given that franchise credit for when it first launched. It's essentially almost doubled in sales from the beginning on the GameCube. So to see Luigi's Mansion at this point kind of be where it's at when it comes to sales and status, it's something that I did not see back when it first came out on the GameCube, and the sales were definitely not representative of that either. So I do think that it's pretty cool that Luigi's Mansion's been able to climb up to where it is. But yeah, they're working on something. I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibility. In the year of the different games and movies that we have, there might be a possibility that they announce it at the end of the year. Maybe it's a 2027 release. But yes, I do think that Luigi's Mansion, it's coming at some point. I just don't know if it's going to be announced in this anniversary year when it comes to Luigi's Mansion 4, at least. Maybe they have some other stuff. Maybe they can kind of put over some other games or do like a collection or do something like that. But I'm just not sure. All of the Luigi's Mansion games are pretty much playable on the Nintendo Switch 2 at this point. You can play it via backwards compatibility, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe they have an update for Luigi's Mansion 3 that makes it 60 FPS. I think that would be pretty cool if they did that, and then update the other games to where they run at 60 FPS on the Nintendo Switch 2, but we'll see what they ultimately end up doing. All right, next game up on the list here is Animal Crossing. That is also 25 years for Animal Crossing. A lot of the cool GameCube franchises that we're seeing here that first started at the GameCube, at least. It's pretty cool to see that. GameCube, one of the best systems of all time. And of course, GameCube is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. But let's talk about Animal Crossing, because we do have the Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch 2 edition that's dropping on January 15th. And that is going to be a pretty big deal because it comes with a free 3.0 update for all users. Doesn't matter if you have the Switch 2 version or not, you can get that 3.0 update and enjoy a lot of new and great content in the game. But if you do have the Nintendo Switch 2 version, it's only a $5 upgrade for this one. So I'd like to see it free, but at least it's not the $10 or $20 upgrades. And with this one as well, you're going to get enhanced resolution, enhanced or probably more stable frame rate. It was a stable 30, but maybe they actually make it even better. I'm not sure if there's frame pacing problems or anything. But either way, it's not 60 FPS, so I'm thinking there's some type of coding issue there with the animations and all of that. But you're going to get enhanced resolution, probably up to 4K or near that, or 1440p or something like that. And then you're also going to get enhanced multiplayer. You're going to get faster loading times. So it's going to be a better experience overall on the Nintendo Switch 2 if you're playing that Animal Crossing New Horizons game. And I do think that this could lead into an announcement of a brand new Animal Crossing game. Now, will that be this year? I'm not sure if that's going to be released this year, but they can do what they did before on the Nintendo Switch 1 and tease it and saying, hey, look, there's going to be a new Animal Crossing and it's coming out at this point. So I'm guessing maybe at the end of the year, we could get that as a one more thing or as an announcement at a Nintendo Direct. But you know what? I would not be shocked at all if there was an announcement of a brand new Animal Crossing game for this year, because it has been quite some time, usually every 6 years or so. All right, guys, next one up is Pokemon, which I'm super excited about. It's the 30th anniversary. I've pretty much been there from the very beginning when it comes to Pokemon. I've been playing it since Red and Blue, and Pokemon is absolutely incredible. I love the franchise, definitely not perfect, but I do think that this could be maybe the year of somewhat redemption when it comes to Pokemon. With those leaks that we got, Pokemon Gen 10, the new Pokemon Gen X engine, it looks like they're going to be doing some new things overall with the next generation of Pokemon, and we could be getting that announced very soon here. The official Pokemon account on Twitter teased it with Chunky Pikachu about the 30th anniversary. Pokemon Day is coming up in February. I would not be surprised if they announced the new Generation 10 Pokemon. Leaked code name or leaked name so far, Wind and Wave, and with that new Pokemon Gen 10 engine that they're going to be using. So I'm very excited to see what they have. And of course, they're going to have a number of mobile stuff and updates and different little games. They always have that every single year, but all eyes are on Pokemon Gen 10 for this year. They did something that I felt was pretty cool with Pokemon Legends ZA when it comes to, at least with the Switch 2 edition of the game, and make sure that that runs good. So we're kind of seeing things get a little bit better here and there. But I do feel that the next generation of Pokemon games, it's so important to establish that base on the Nintendo Switch 2 and make sure things are going in the positive direction for Pokemon starting out. Things were a little bit rough starting out on the Nintendo Switch 1 with Let's Go. There was a lot of controversy with that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of controversy with people online with the new Pokemon game, but I think that establishing at least a clear step above what you've done before is a good first step, and then we can kind of go from there. But I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with Pokemon Generation 10, and of course Pokemon Day coming up here in February, 30th anniversary for Pokemon. I think there's going to be some huge announcements. Okay, next one up is also another one that's really good. Persona is celebrating its 30th anniversary, and it does seem like we're going to be getting something soon here from the Persona Atlas development team. They do have some stuff planned, but just like with Persona before in the past, you've got to be careful with it. The announcements of the announcements, the teases of the teases. This is something that Atlas has done for decades now at this point, and you just don't know what you're going to get overall. And I do think that Persona 6 is coming, and it's going to be really good. I'd expect Persona 6 to be good. I'd expect Persona 6 to probably be announced this year. Now, will it drop this year? Let's wait and see on that. The Persona 4 remake, that's supposed to be dropping in 2027 or so. So will we get Persona 6 this year and then the Persona 4 remake next year? Well, we'll see about that. But I just want them to announce it. It's been a decade since Persona 5, and I think that I've played so much Persona 5 at this point. I'm just ready to move on, and I've replayed so many of the Persona games already because they re-released them, even though that we're getting remakes like Persona 3 Reload and Persona 4, and I get that, and those are great, but they've already re-released those so many times, so it's definitely time for a new Persona game, not based in the worlds of Persona 3, 4, or 5, which we've been getting for a decade plus now at this point. So I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to get something new. I'm ready to have a new theme, a new color scheme, a new all sorts of stuff when it comes to Persona. So I'm hoping we get that announcement. And I do think that it's very possible that we get that Persona 6 announcement this year for the 30th anniversary. We just have to wait and see. And there was also some teasing of fitness boxing Persona 5. So for those that are excited about that, get ready for Persona 5 fitness boxing. Okay, let's get into the next one here. And that is Sonic the Hedgehog, 35 years. Once again, been there from the beginning for Sonic the Hedgehog. And this one's going to be interesting too, because will they have the next new big 3D Sonic game ready? Sonic Frontiers was one of the better selling, if not one of the best selling 3D Sonic games out there, so they did a good job just establishing a ground floor level. Now, I don't love Sonic Frontiers, but at least it does seem like they're going to be building off of Sonic Frontiers. They're not going to take a whole new theme and a whole new different thing. Don't get me wrong. They're going to have a bunch of new stuff in this next game because it's the Sonic team and all that. But I think that they're going to build off of what they did with Sonic Frontiers. So I'm hoping that it results in a much better game than what we got a few years ago. But I do think that that next big Sonic game will be ready. It's the 35th anniversary. They've got a fan base that's always willing to see what they have. It's just one of those things to where it's perfectly lining up compared to when they had Sonic Frontiers out a number of years ago. Gives them a good amount of time. Once again, if they just build off of what they already have, there's so many things that could be better when it comes to Sonic Frontiers 2 or the next Sonic game, because once again, building off that foundation of what they were doing in that game. And there are some really cool moments. There's just a lot of stuff that needs to be improved when it comes to what they did in Sonic Frontiers. But I'm excited to see what they do next. And of course, it's going to demand the attention of a lot of people online overall, considering the fandom of Sonic. So we'll see what happens for that. But I'm pretty sure they'll have classic stuff and other things that they're going to be doing when it comes to Sonic cameos and things like that for the anniversary. 35 years, that is crazy. I love the original Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. Big fan of those games. So we'll see what they do in 2026 with Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, the next franchise up that we're going to talk about here is Castlevania. That is 40 years old. Once again, I've been around since nearly the beginning. I remember playing Castlevania back in the day on the NES and thinking this game is absolutely insane. And Castlevania is actually one of my favorite franchises. I love the Castlevania Dominus collection. I love those DS Castlevania games. Those games are so good. So I'm a huge fan. I've been playing Castlevania for decades now. And I do think that this is finally the year. I know people say this all the time, but this is finally the year. All of the years of buildup with the Castlevania Netflix series, with the collections, with everything that they've done so far, it finally comes together and the announcement of the new game. You've got the Nintendo Switch 2. You've got a platform that you know people are going to buy. Heck, even if you can have it for Nintendo Switch 1. You've got Xbox, PlayStation. You've got PC. You've got everybody that has their eyes. This is now the time to reveal the new Castlevania game. And I'm really hoping it's like a revival like Metroid Dread was a revival for 2D Metroid in high quality, like the first ever HD 2D Metroid game on an HD system and all that, how that came out with a bang. I'm hoping and I'm praying that this is the case for the new Castlevania game. Now, if they do a 3D Castlevania, which I'm not sure if that's even going to be a thing, I think it's been rumored to be like a 2.5D type of new Castlevania game, but I'm really hoping that if they do a new 2.5D Castlevania game, that it really is something like that. Now, obviously it doesn't have to play just like Dread, but you guys know what I mean with the style and the tone of it bringing back in great quality and really just being a, I would say, throwback, but new elements and new ideas as well. Castlevania can do well. It can sell well. It can be a great franchise overall. We saw what people said about the Castlevania games that were coming back. Even those games that are old from the DS, people still think those games are fantastic. The level design, the gameplay, all that stuff is great. We just need something new on a modern platform. So I'm hoping that they take some of the old school characters, bring them back, add some new characters, do some really cool stuff, and bring it back in the way that Castlevania, with the 40th anniversary, you got to bring it back in a way that's deserving of the franchise. So I'm hoping it finally happens this year. Let's see what happens with it. Now, the next one up is a very interesting franchise because there's barely any games in it, but it's celebrating its 40th anniversary, and that is Kid Icarus. And Kid Icarus, 40 years. A lot of people don't play Kid Icarus games or maybe never played a Kid Icarus game, but it originally started on the NES, and then it went to the Game Boy, and then we had a very long drought. We had to wait a decade plus for something overall, and then it came back on the Nintendo 3DS with Kid Icarus Uprising. And to me, this is easily the biggest and craziest reinvention of a franchise because it plays pretty much nothing like the other Kid Icarus games. Obviously, there's enemies and themes and stuff like that, but it is incredible. This is by far the best Kid Icarus game with Kid Icarus Uprising by a country mile, and guess who made it? Mr. Masahiro Sakurai. He's the one who made it. So, here's what I think. I think that it's very much possible that Nintendo does something for the 40th anniversary for this game. Kid Icarus Uprising, remaster it in HD, make it look nice, smooth it out just a bit, put it out on the Nintendo Switch 2 with actual real dual analog controls, with the online 3v3 multiplayer intact. Put it out there and give it a second chance to sell. When this game came out, we failed it by not buying the game enough. This game should have been a multiple million unit selling game. This should have sold like 4 or 5 million units. It was an incredible game. Now, yes, that's probably asking a bit too much because most of the Kid Icarus games, the other ones that we got before, never even sold anywhere near that. But still, it's that good of a game. So I'm hoping that Nintendo gives this one another chance after a decade plus on ice. The last one, 2012, 2013, it's been a while. It's the 40th anniversary. This seems more like a cope the more that I talk about this. Masahiro Sakurai himself even said that he would love to see this be playable on modern systems with the Nintendo Switch 2 and all of that. So I'm hoping that we get the announcement at a Nintendo Direct, 40th anniversary, Kid Icarus Uprising HD remaster. Please, this needs to happen. This game is awesome. Okay, the next anniversary that we have to talk about here is Dragon Quest, and that is at 40 years. And I think that with the 40-year anniversary of this franchise and the multiple year near radio silence of Dragon Quest 12, I think it's finally time. I think that they've been waiting for the right time, and of course the system that they know that they're going to have to push it on, which will be the Nintendo Switch 2, considering most of the newer end Dragon Quest games always get real reveals or announcements for Nintendo platforms. I think that this is finally the year, the 40th anniversary. You've got all your HD 2D games out with Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake, Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. Now is the time to follow up on that with Dragon Quest 12. And I really hope that they announce something. I think that a Nintendo Direct would be great, saying it's on Nintendo Switch 2, but it's also coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. But I think that's what they've been waiting for. Get the Switch 2 off the ground overall, get enough development into there, and probably do a lot of work on making sure that this game has an announcement from when they say, hey, look, here's the platforms and what's going on, to when the game releases. I think they want to shorten the time because it was way too long for Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D Remake. So I think they want to shorten that time from when they announce the game for the platforms and show the game off, and of course it's ready, to when they're going to launch the game. So I think that that's why it's been taking quite some time. They've probably been taking a ton of time building the mechanics and the systems and the graphics and the platforms. So I think that's what's happening here. It was announced maybe a bit too early overall. So Dragon Quest 40th anniversary, Square Enix is always teasing stuff. This has to be the year that we finally see Dragon Quest 12. So we'll see about that. All right, next one up is another major franchise anniversary, and that is Metroid, the 40th anniversary. Now, we already got Metroid Prime 4 when it comes to that game on the Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2. That was fantastic. Check out my review if you haven't seen it already. I really like the game, but I don't know if there's going to be really anything for Metroid in 2026 this year. I'm just not sure, just because we just got Metroid Prime 4. Now, Metroid Dread, that came out back in 2021, and there has been a lot of talk and rumors that Mercury Steam, the developers behind that game, have been hard at work on another 2D Metroid game. So could we see 2D Metroid game, Metroid Dread 2, or probably a follow-up 2D Metroid game from Mercury Steam on the Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026? Yes, that is a high possibility that maybe this summer, for example, they say new Metroid game. But I'm just not so sure. Back-to-back 3D, 2D Metroid, I'm just not sure if that's going to be something that's going to happen. But I still feel that Mercury Steam is working on something. Maybe we get a tease. Maybe we get more rumors. But there's been a lot of anniversaries for different franchises that Nintendo has just passed up and just not said anything or not really done much. And this could be one of them, considering we just got Metroid Prime 4 not too long ago. So we'll see what happens with the Metroid 40th anniversary. We'll see what happens with the next 2D Metroid game. Maybe we get some type of spin-off or side stuff too. I mean, there could be Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3. Those games still need to come out on modern platforms. What's going on there? There's still a bunch of games that are stuck on other platforms as well. Metroid Prime Pinball, Metroid Prime Hunters, those games are stuck. Metroid Prime Federation Force, all of those are stuck on old platforms as well. So maybe we finally get some updates for those old games coming over to Nintendo Switch 1 and Nintendo Switch 2 in some way, shape, or form, virtual console, re-releases, things like that. So they need to do something when it comes to some of those old Metroid games, and maybe the 40th anniversary is where they finally unleash some of that. So Metroid, looking forward to seeing potentially what could happen here in 2026. But for the final one, we saved the best for the last, in my opinion at least, and that is The Legend of Zelda. We've got the 40th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda, and man, would it be nice if at the end of the year, Nintendo says, we've got one more announcement, and they show off the new Legend of Zelda game built specifically, exclusively for the Nintendo Switch 2. That would be a real showstopper, considering The Legend of Zelda is more popular than it's ever been by a lot. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, those two games combined to sell over 55 million units, easily swallowing up a lot of the other game sales whole at this point, combined for a lot of them. So with the Legend of Zelda movie coming out in 2027 and filming going great, apparently, I do believe that this could be the year. Now, some people say it might be too soon. We just got Tears of the Kingdom in 2023. And yes, I agree. Might be a little bit too soon. But here's the thing. Nintendo's never shied away from showing The Legend of Zelda early. They have shown The Legend of Zelda early, maybe a year, 2 years before it's ready to go. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel, as they called it back then before it turned into Tears of the Kingdom, that was revealed in 2019 and didn't come out till 2023. Now, I do think that Nintendo didn't want to take that long, but I do feel that they wanted to let people know, yes, buy the Nintendo Switch because you're still going to be able to get another big Legend of Zelda game sequel. So that was to kind of keep the hype extended and going in 2019, considering the monumental game that Breath of the Wild was. Now, with the Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to need some of those splash announcements, considering what the economy is at this point and all the different competition that's out there for gaming. So I do feel that Nintendo could announce The Legend of Zelda when it comes to the next one built for the Nintendo Switch 2. They could announce it, and then maybe it comes out in 2027, or maybe it's 2028, but it's something that I feel pretty strongly about. If you look at Tears of the Kingdom, that game was really supposed to be ready in 2022, but they took about a year or so of optimization to really make sure that it doesn't break all over itself on that Nintendo Switch 1, where it's already pushing it to its limits. So I do think that the Zelda team, this is the reason why they didn't do DLC for Tears of the Kingdom. They wanted to get going right away on the next Legend of Zelda game because they know they're going to have to show something in the next 3 to 4 years. It's pretty much been about that 3 to 4 years this year in 2026. Now, we also could get some other stuff. People clearly have been asking for multiple years now for Wind Waker in addition to Twilight Princess. People have been asking for like a decade for those, since like the Nintendo Switch 1 overall. So it's been a while. So I think that those games are possible for this year in terms of a group type of announcement. 40-year anniversary is pretty big. I do think that Nintendo wants to hype up Legend of Zelda more with the movie coming out next year. And what better way to get people excited for the movie and for the franchise than to tease the next game, have the first teaser for it built for the Nintendo Switch 2, in addition to having some of the classic games come over to the platform as well, with Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. And yes, we do already have Wind Waker on the NSO, but an actual release of the game that people can go out there and buy and own, and not the virtual console, subscription service. So those are my thoughts when it comes to all the different anniversaries. Now, there's a lot more anniversaries, guys. I just went over the stuff that I'm super excited about when it comes to JRPGs and Nintendo. There's also anniversaries for hardware-wise. The N64, 30 years. GameCube, once again, 25 years. Game Boy Advance, 25 years. The Wii, 20 years. And the Nintendo 3DS is also 15 years. So a lot of pretty cool anniversaries across the board. So what do you guys think about the anniversaries here? What are you most looking forward to? What do you want to see from some of these franchises? What do you expect? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG content and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.